The Commission special call meeting to order. Today is Tuesday, May the 28th, 2024. It's 5:30 p.m. I've not heard from Commissioner Cottle. I hope he's on his way, but I have heard from our city attorney, and he's not going to be present tonight. But we do have a quorum, and we're going to conduct our business as usual. We're going to be led this afternoon with a prayer by Commissioner Siri, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, led by Commissioner Cottle. In that order.
We're glad you volunteered for that, Kevin. So, special call meeting tonight, and we all know why. Yesterday was Veterans Day, and certainly it was a time to remember. So, you know, in lieu of a prayer, I'm usually the guy that does the moment of silence, and I think we'll take this one extra time from you, and I know we all did it yesterday, to think about those veterans that died in conflicts, died from complications of conflicts, and just lived to a good old age. And in addition, we have people always in our community that gave back to the community that have passed away recently as well. So I want to keep those folks in mind as well, and one of them was Paul White. So I'll ask for that moment of silence. I thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Cottle? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, guys. Chair would like to entertain a motion to approve the agenda. Since today's a special call meeting, there should be no additions to the agenda. So can we entertain a motion to to accept the agenda as presented?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, sir. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed likewise. Thank you all. Next on our agenda is where we have our first opportunity to hear the public. And the public is asked to raise their hands, be recognized. And at this section of our agenda, it's to speak to us about items on the agenda only. And it's entitled Hear the Public. So the commission usually listens and does not give any feedback at this time. So anyone who wants to speak to the commission about items that are on our agenda for tonight. Magistrate Ellis, is your hand up?
No, it's not.
Kind of a parliamentary procedure issue here. We had appealed to be on the agenda, and apparently we're not. We have a very serious issue to bring forward to you, that the mayor of Perryville and I have made.
Why don't you come up to the microphone so we can get this? No, not both of you, just you.
Yes, oh, yes.
I'm not giving you permission to talk. I'm just going to try to hear your question or your comment. We're not adding you to the agenda. I don't think we are, but.
Good evening. My
Yes,
name is
sir.
Tom Ellis.
Yes, sir. You have a question for me?
Well, my question is, you mentioned that there would not be any public comment unless it was on the agenda. We made a written appeal to be on the agenda, had every assurance because we made sure to carbon copy the staff with that appeal to be on the agenda. I talked just 30 minutes ago with the city manager, and he pled confusion on his part, but our mayor of Perryville has a very legitimate issue, which we brought up, as you know, on April 11, when we were all in attendance at Perryville City Council meeting. And the mayor is prepared to speak, and then I would follow.
And Mr. Magistrate Ellis, both of you all will have an opportunity to speak to us tonight. If you look at item number 5, it says City Manager Report. Then after that, it says Hear the Public. It's our second attempt to hear the public, and people can talk to us at that time pertaining to items that are not on our agenda.
Okay,
So you
my
wait
error
till-
for not being clear with that, but we are disappointed that we are not on for an agenda item. Thank you.
And so noted. And you know what? You can come back, though, and get on the agenda and come back at some other time, though. You don't have to limit yourself just to tonight, but you're welcome to do that. So again, welcome to those who are here. An attempt again, is there anyone who wants to speak to us on items that are on the agenda? Hearing none, let's move along then. Our next item of business is to hear an update from Kendall Morgan on the status of their project.
Mayor, if I may, Mr. Ford could not be here, and so team leader, since they couldn't be here, we're going to put that off for a couple weeks, and other than to say that they are in the process of reviewing their permit, the gas company permitting improvements to the road that cross the gas line, and so we will wait on their attendance in the future.
Thank you, sir. Do you know if there's been any changes to the tentative deadline? Completion date?
I don't necessarily know about the deadline. I know that they're still trying to get the work to begin after the approval of the encroachment permit, which has not occurred. So right now, the encroachment permit's still holding things up in terms of progression.
Okay.
We have expressed that to all parties involved today, and so we will just see how the next couple of weeks play out.
Thank you, sir. Next item on our agenda is an Economic Development Corporation appointee discussion between the commissioners, and I guess the city manager, you going to start that off, or shall I let one of the commissioners start that off?
I defer to the commission.
Okay. Commissioner Holland, you want to start us off on this
Sure.
discussion?
I've had the honor of being the appointee on the city commission for 2 years, and it's a honor to be on that committee. I've talked to a few others that have expressed interest in, when my 2-year term ended, to get more involved. So I was just going to say my 2-year term is about to end, and if anyone else would like to have a position there, I'd recommend staying at least 2 years. But it is good to rotate to kind of learn more. I've learned a ton, and will probably still continue to go to many meetings.
And your term ends in this fall? What was the date?
Yeah, I think we were appointed in, July, August?
Okay. So commissioners, we need to be thinking about a replacement in July or August of 2024. And it's a commission-appointed position, or elected position, okay? Any comments or questions?
I'll start, and I'd like to not be on the table for this because it's the same meeting time as Parks and Rec, and I've been pretty heavily involved in that, so I want to stay with that, so I'll leave it to you two.
I would like to be more involved, learn more about the whole process. So I would be open to that.
Man, I would too. I had something to do with the current makeup, but I think it's, if Commissioner Peak wants to do it, I say have at it.
Well, we don't necessarily have to make a decision tonight, but I like the way you all are discussing it. He's so gracious, letting someone else serve, isn't he?
But once again, meetings are open to everybody, so
Right.
I would encourage everyone to attend. And the Development Corporation meets the third Wednesday at 4 o'clock each month. You can get on an email list. Sometimes the locations change. We like to go visit Paravel and some other places, but many times it's at RECC or at Constitution Square.
And Commissioner Holland currently serves as the treasurer, financial treasurer? Okay. Not that that comes along with your position, but I think you need to know that as well. No? Okay, any other comments? All right. The decision is sort of tentatively has been made that, she's wavering. Well, we'll come back next meeting and discuss it.
I don't want him to. If he wants to do it, that's
I
fine.
wouldn't have said anything if I didn't think it was.
Give both of you all a chance to think about
There
it.
we go.
Mayor, we'll put it on the agenda in 2 weeks.
All
and
right.
That way you all have some time to,
I'd make a motion now.
well, you're welcome to. I mean, it's.
Go ahead, Kevin.
I move that we.
No. It's a discussion only. She didn't list it.
No, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's proper.
Well, and part of our discussion is that we also need to thank Commissioner Holland for her
Absolutely.
service, getting close to 2 years now, she said, so that should be commended, okay? All right, then. So the next item is approval of the minutes of the previous meetings. Chair would like to entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll move for approval of the meeting that happened, where are we at here? I'll find it. Our last meeting, a week ago, right? 14 days ago, 5/14? 5/13, yes.
Okay, is that a motion?
Yes.
All right, is there,
I'll second.
thank you both. Any discussion? Any additions or deletions to our minutes? Hearing none, the chair would call for the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Next item is Resolution 2024-05-2801, SHARD. Next, Mr. Randy Board.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Yeah, just to recap, the city has uses Sharks for its pharmacy advocacy program. In simple terms, what that does is whenever we have certain medications, it moves from our traditional pharmacy plan over to the Sharks plan. Part of that process is there's a 60-day grace period for members when they're making that transition. So this reimbursement agreement that we're presenting would, if a member has to pay out-of-pocket cost while they're transitioning, this is a reimbursement program where Sharks would reimburse them their out-of-pocket. Just to clarify, there's no money that's exchanged from the city on this. This simply would be pharmacy claims that would actually be billed through our normal pharmacy process. It's just to help to avoid the members from any out-of-pocket loss while they're getting those transitioning between the two plans.
Sounds good. Chair will entertain a motion to approve this resolution 05-2801.
I make a motion to approve resolution 2024-05-2801.
Thank you,
Second.
ma'am. Thank you, sir. Any questions or comments? Thank you, Mr. Board, for your work on this. All those in favor, say aye. Those
Aye.
opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Next item on our agenda is City Manager Report.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. We'll begin with some important dates. There's a lot going on over the next few weeks. You know that the Brass Band Festival is this coming weekend. We won't detail every one of the dates that I've listed there. Big two is this weekend, the Brass Band Festival, the 30th through the 1st. Then next week is KLC's Summer Summit that we typically attend. And then the following 8th through the 15th is the Bull County Fair. Back on June the 8th of that week, we will be doing the Michael Smith reopening of the park down there. That will be a celebration from 11 to 3 p.m. The ribbon cutting is planned for 11 a.m., and I would like to point out that the splash pad's expected to be open that day. So that's going to be a terrific few weeks of activity, and then Juneteenth is June the 19th. So you've got a lot going on over the next few weeks. We Would like to give you a quick audit update there, verbally at least, is the auditors are doing their field work stage, working through the schedule, trying to be finished, as they indicated, by the end of July. So they remain on schedule to achieve that. The Ms. Compton did want me to mention that there would be the engagement letter to lease or for the software to manage the leases and long-term obligations more efficiently, which would help both the auditor and us track those. That should be on an upcoming agenda too. And we know that we want to do some more facility tours with you folks. We know those didn't get finished. I felt like it was a good day going, but I know those take a lot longer than you plan sometimes. The wayfinding update, Josh, do you want to give them an update? That seems to be a little bit confused.
Yeah, the Welcome to Danville signs, we have that RFP for a design build out in the street right now. Those proposals are due June 25th. At that time, we will bring those back to you all for a review process. With it being design build, I mean, I could go into details about how that will work, but we will score the proposals based on their design and qualifications, and then separately, we will score them based on their price, and then we'll combine the two. We'll do those separately. When you design for the design and qualifications, you won't know the prices. That's just how a design build legally is procured with our procurement model that we have to follow. So that, I would expect us to make a lot of progress with that this summer, then hopefully start seeing signs this fall is our goal. The rest of the wayfinding project, we've got the big signs on the bypass completed and around the edge of town. So we'll start moving inwards towards town and moving forward with the wayfinding master plan. But we'll do that work in-house. We won't bid out another big project again. We'll just get those signs made locally and start doing that work in-house with city staff. Because they'll be smaller signs, we won't be dealing with the same kind of encroachment permit requirements. We won't be dealing with breakaway signage that's required to be installed a certain way. So as we move in towards downtown, we'll do something, we'll do that in-house and hopefully do it with a little bit more affordable. And that includes, we're going to start looking even further at downtown, more pedestrian signage as well. So that's kind of something we'll just slowly roll out throughout the year, but that's really going to be a main focus of ours in this upcoming fiscal years to get that, much of that completed as we can.
Great.
Thank you. The Parks Advisory Committee took up the discussion about naming of certain facilities. We were made aware of the idea of, do we want to name some facilities after some long-serving citizens? And the Parks Committee had previously taken up the idea of having an honor wall with names of recognition, probably on some brass plaque or something in some central location. And so we will let them flesh that out further before we bring anything to you. But we wanted to let you know that that had been talked about and does seem like a good approach to naming things and keeping track of those citizens that spend quite a bit of contribution of their personal time and effort and just service towards that endeavor. The next thing is, we included in your packet, so it's in your OneDrive, is the April budget report. The budget spreadsheets are updated through that we build the budget from, have data through the end of March. Lee and I wanted to make sure that you had an April report anyway, and so we've included that. We know, so we won't go through that because we've spent so much time with the budget, but I just wanted to make sure that you all had some text and the information as you normally would expect for the month of April. With that, then, what we did after the budget meeting last week is we updated, and I appreciate Lee being able to push this through today. So remember the other day, we had a budget surplus, and then we discussed adding the police officer position and the 2 police officer position, firefighter. We've actually incorporated those numbers in here now, and subsequently then your fund balance changes and your information changes throughout. So we just updated this hard copy for you, so you can replace the version you had last week at the meeting with this version. And what we will do is discuss this version on Thursday. This includes more of the information related to capital. I know that she's gotten the sheet for capital here. that she printed, same thing applies, that what's included in the budget, et cetera. So that information's in there and reprinted and updated based on our conversations we had last Thursday. Okay,
Thank you, sir.
that's all I have.
Any questions to the city
Yeah, I
manager?
don't have a question. I would expand a little bit with a compliment on the wayfinding that Josh reported. By attending the convention visitors bureau meetings, I found out that Junction City and Perryville want to emulate us somewhat. It won't be the same naturally, but they like our design. And so I think a physical court also is helping to fund, work with those two cities individually, and the CVB are going to put money in. So I just think it's real positive for the whole county.
Yeah, I think the
Compliment.
CVB should end up maybe helping those agencies coordinate that. And because, for example, ours is based on routes into town, and 127, for example, or going around the bypass, you'll see Perryville Battlefield on a sign. So it'd be nice to have the similar sign as you move towards Perryville, towards actual turn to go to the battlefield, or maybe some of those historical markers tied to the battlefield then linked in with that signage too. So that's definitely a good idea, and certainly would work well with the signage that's here on those transportation routes.
Well, they're currently working on it. I just wanted to share that as a compliment, that we did a lot of upfront work. They like it. They're going to carry it through
Good.
for the rest of the county.
And along with the wayfinding, thank you for the update, Josh. I've been asked about it quite a bit. And the smaller local signs, you expect through 2024 or next fiscal year?
I think we'll make good progress this fall. I mean, there's not we put a good dent in it with that first round, so I think we can knock a lot out this fall. It's hard to foresee what all we'll get into, but our goal is to have it done this fall.
Okay. Thank you. And thank you, Earl and Lee, also with the April financials. That's extremely timely, for such a big entity as the city, so thank you.
Anyone else? Comments, questions? Phrases? Good. Well, let's move on then. Next item on our agenda is where we hear the public a second time, and at this point on our agenda, we can hear the public and speak to us on items that are not on our agenda. And Mr. Ellis, I'll call on you first, and if...
Thank you, Mayor. We prefer that the mayor of Perryville be first, and I'll follow.
I can't satisfy you. I'm sorry. Mayor, welcome to the city commission meeting, and come forward, sir. And then we'll let both of you guys piggyback off each other then.
First of all, just want to take a moment and thank you for this opportunity to be here to speak with you. And also want to thank you for your efforts in putting that water through to Washington County and trying to get it done in a timely fashion. I don't think it's gone as smooth as any of us hoped it would, but probably smoother than most of us thought it would. I think Earl and Mr. Carrier would probably agree with me on that. And I would like to mention that we do, you do have two excellent employees in Mr. Carrier and Mr. Lowry. I've dealt with them pretty heavily through this whole process. They've been very informative and very forthcoming with information for us. So, like I said, I feel like it's gone pretty smooth. I feel like it could have gone smoother. And I feel like we can gain a lot from this experience as two cities, Perryville and Danville and Perryville, because I feel like there's been some adversity in the past and some failures to work together. I don't put that on anyone here in this room at this time, but I feel like we can gain a lot by working together going forward, rather than banging our heads on the walls. The wayfaring signage that was mentioned there a moment ago. We jumped on that when we saw that design because we saw it as an excellent opportunity to brand the county and to work together with Danville, with Junction City, with Boyle County. And so going forward, I would implore us to work together. Part of my reason for being here tonight is I do want to address the fact that we've had those issues that I mentioned. And the biggest issue has been the 8 breaks. There were 7 boil water advisories, and one of those covered two of the breaks. And so in the midst of those breaks, we as citizens of Perryville, and that's how I want to address you now really as a citizen of Perryville, we as citizens of Perryville found ourselves flushing our water to the tune of, I would say, 20 to 30 gallons. My wife kind of watched it the last time she had to do it, and she figured that at least 20 gallons of water went out of our pipes because it was dirty. It's water. It's not water we can boil and use. It's water that you just can't use. You have to clean out your refrigerator, the water in your refrigerator. You have to clean out your ice makers and everything. And so we're asking for some kind of compensation, some form of reimbursement, some form of refund to the citizens of Perryville, not to the city, but to the citizens of Perryville. And my basis for that is the best example that I can give you. If I go buy pizza at X pizza establishment here in town, and I won't name one since we've got several, but if I go buy pizza at X pizza establishment, they bring me pizza that has bad dough, bad cheese, something along that line, I have an option to go to another establishment. In this instance, I as a citizen, I as your customer don't have another option. My option is to buy water from Danville. And so, you know, that's where this all falls for me in this comparison.
Mayor, that's 3 minutes.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Sir? No, sir, no, sir. I just, if anybody had any questions.
Pretty good. It don't happen too many in these cities. Mayor Ellis?
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, City Commission members of Danville. I am Magistrate Tom Ellis with virtually half of the county in the western part of Boyle County. As mentioned, 8 times the line was breached and folks were flushing those lines. I got one of those phone calls about the ice maker and how they had to clear that line as well as all other lines. I got a call from a woman who had twins. She still does the traditional diapers. She still boils the water baby bottles, and was very concerned with the amount of money that she was paying, because I'm sure you're familiar that the cost of the sewer, I'll call it a tax, on the water going out is nearly 3 times the cost of the water to the recipients in both Junction and in Perryville. We met on Thursday, April 11, at Perryville City Council. And that evening, we talked about those same concerns. That next morning, at the behest of your city manager, several of us met the mayor of Perryville, one of the members of the city council, and myself, and a couple of staff members to the city manager. In that meeting, we were told that a statute prohibited the kind of compensation or reimbursement that was being requested. We were also told that the Public Service Commission would not allow that. In my non-attorney style, I did all the legitimate research that I could of KRS and found no prohibitions whatsoever. And in contacting PSC directly, they absolutely had no position on any reimbursement coming. It was also mentioned that we should have our constituents go to your insurance company rather than going to your reserves. And again, you have reserves encumbered just like we do at fiscal court. If each of 415 families, give or take, in Perryville were to face that type of process of going to the insurance companies, I doubt that they would file those papers. Therefore, I would like to see an action from the Danville City Commission that would perhaps give a certain amount of money based on 20 or 30 gallons being flushed on 8 occasions, and make that a compensation or reimbursement is more appropriate as the term would be on your next billing cycle. Thank you, and I would certainly entertain any questions you have.
You're not the right person to ask this to, but would you pronounce the mayor's last name for me?
Kernodle.
Mayor Cannoli. Okay, I noticed I skipped over that when you came up. Appreciate that, thank you.
Yes, sir, yeah.
Cannoli. So it's an N, okay. Anybody have any, oh, thank you, sir.
I thank you very much.
All right. Anyone else here to public? Ms. Wilma Brown? Birthday lady? Come back here.
I'm a year older since you saw me last.
Is your party over yet?
I wish, but anyway, no, I had a great week. I have a question. The Danville Christian Academy had requested that the city use public funds to provide them with the security resource officer, and I have not heard a resolution of that request, so I was wondering if indeed that's in the budget or doesn't need to be in the budget, has been approved, hasn't been approved, or what the status is.
Okay.
It's not in the budget, and we've not reviewed it again with the schools like we had indicated yet, because we're in the budget process. So we anticipate that happening over the next couple of weeks. I know the chief asked that the other day, and so we intend to follow up on that, and we will.
Will that probably be before will there be another time for me to respond to that or talk about that?
Ms. Brown, yes, we will have some meeting in June, and we
Okay.
will report that to the city commission. So it'll be in a format like this, at least, that you'll hear about it again.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Yes,
Thank you,
ma'am.
and thank you for your time.
Key lime pie. Oh, I was doing commissioner comments on my own, but now's the time for commissioner comments. I was requesting key lime pie. Any commissioner comments?
I don't mind starting. Just a couple of things. Happy belated birthday, Miss Brown. Not going to let her get away with that, huh? Also, and he may want to speak to this a little bit, but Steve Klein got an award as being tourism, what? You want to tell us, Steve? He's been awarded, it's a statewide award, so it's a pretty big deal. But I should have done my homework, and I'm sorry.
What's that? Why? That's Steve Klein? That one?
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, it certainly was an honor to receive this award. It's a Lexington and Central Kentucky Hospitality Award. It's tied to tourism. And the CVB nominated me, or Kendall nominated me to receive this award. And we went to Lexington, and it was an honor because it's real easy to promote Danville, talk about our history. And I know a lot of people don't realize how many tourists we get in town. We have a map on the wall, pinned where you're from. Last two years, we've had 49 states represented. Last year, we had 39 countries as well. So that's the easiest thing easiest job and best job I've ever had is just talking. I mean, you can talk from our statehood history all the way to the art of the Glass Museum and everything in between. It's great, and I was totally shocked about the award, and I didn't even know they had an award for anything like that. It was from Lexington Hospitality Association. And, thank you, Rick. That's kind of surprised too.
Other comments?
Oh, you go ahead if you want to. I just wanted to say thank you to the staff for the other night, the storms, and I was out doing something, and you see them running up and down the road with their trucks, so I do appreciate all the staff getting out and on it and, trying to clean all of the things that were damaged up. And also, we have so many things to celebrate in Danville that you couldn't just sit here and name them. But we have so many kids that are involved in things that you want to say, oh, look at this. Like Bull County Middle School baseball, I think won the state championship the other night, and DCA had something that happened to one of their students. So, I mean, you know, there's just so many, I don't want to forget somebody. There's so many things that are good about our kids around here, so just shout out to all of them, I guess.
Thank you, ma'am. And we should not, try not to let any of those pass, so maybe we need to send some invitations to some of those,
I think
the
they
middle
won
school
Saturday
baseball
night.
team and to the DCA student or whoever it might be. Okay? At least come and be recognized and congratulated by the commission. Commissioner Cottle? Commissioner Holland?
Yeah, I had a question/comment. Behind Tolliver, I keep getting complaints about speeding. I don't know if we could ever put a speed hump over there. It's more when center is in session. It's a shortcut, whoop, and then over to Lexington Avenue.
Yeah, I think it's one of those unintended consequences of having Kentucky be, or Perryville Street be one way. That's, you know, it's pushed a lot of traffic around onto Harding. We have a bunch of signs ordered. We've worked with the school, and we've ordered a few new school zone signs and speed limit signs, and we're going to put new paint on the road for the school zone and those kind of things. We've got a plan to do that this summer. But yeah, we'll definitely look at a speed hump as well, because I think that's been the biggest complaint we've gotten is just speed on Harding Street.
Okay,
So,
yeah,
yeah,
a little
we're-
bit dangerous, a lot of kids out there.
Yes.
So, thank you for the update. I don't know if Mr. Dexter could report to us about the legality of some of the parable questions. That'd be cool next week. And the splash pad and pool opened, and everybody said it was great and very cold, so. But it was very hot out. It was 80, so.
Ooh, yeah.
Parks did a great job because it had been a while since we opened like early and on time. So well done to Parks and Rec.
I do have one thing to say, Mayor. When city manager was talking about things that were happening on June 8th, he missed one.
Oh, yeah.
Your birthday?
Oh,
My goodness. Yes. How about that?
No comment, apparently. That's my job.
I'm glad you did it. It's on my list, but I'm not going to do it. Well, everybody's talked about the Brass Band Festival, and that's really important, and that's, like Mr. Klein said, we'll be amazed about the number of people who'll be in all of our county and city and whatever. So I want everybody to be safe, and just special shout out to the city staff and to all of our first responders. Things are always happening, so don't want to forget that. But let's move right along. I get that little evil eye over there. Kevin got it first, right? Any other commissioner comments?
I forgot earlier, when we were talking about the Development Corporation, I wanted to thank Commissioner Cottle because there were several times we had to meet 3 or 4 times a week. And he really stepped in to do all-day interviews. And really, thank you for the teamwork there. And we had a lot of trust to make some good decisions. So thank you, Commissioner Cottle, for helping out.
Oh, she didn't give me any credit. I attended all the meetings. Let's go. Well, let's move along. The next item is payment of bills. Chair will entertain a motion to pay the bills as presented or as amended if necessary.
Mayor and Commissioners, I'm going to recuse myself. There's a line item on there from a company that I've retired from, but I still have ownership in. It's payment for services rendered, and that's checking AEDs. When I noticed that, I figured I should recuse, and the city manager agreed to that, so I will leave the room and let you guys carry on.
We're not going to pay that one anyway, so you can go ahead.
Yeah, allow him the
We're gonna skip that one.
opportunity to leave,
leave?
and then
All right.
we'll continue the discussion, if y'all don't mind.
I just love his blue shirt he's got on today himself. Man, that'll look good on the mayor. See. Thank Brother Rick for doing that. Now, entertain a motion for payment of bills.
Move we pay the bills as listed in the amount of $125,503.10.
Minus the one that connected to Commissioner Siri?
Minus,
No.
minus,
Is there a second?
Second.
Other questions or comments? Well, all those in favor of paying the bills, say aye.
aye.
Those
Aye.
opposed, likewise, motion carries. He came back quick, didn't he? Did you hear the motion? We paid all of them except for one. All right,
Well, that's whatever.
next item is Resolution 2024-05-2802. Ms. Compton, you have the next three of them, right? Bank of New York.
Yes, so, the city has been, due to some unforeseen circumstances, the city has been required to close one bank account and open a new one, which is, procedurally, normally you all aren't involved with, but this bank account is, heavily involved in our operations, and there are quite a few agreements for automatic, payments to be made out of that, account, and we need your approval to transition. For instance, this particular item is a debt service payment that is on a automatic ACH each month. This particular debt payment was for renovations of City Hall back in the 2010s, I believe, early 2010s. And this will transition the payment from from the old account that we'll be closing to the new account. And that is related to the other two items that I have on the agenda for the evening, so.
Yeah, we're transitioning accounts to support cybersecurity, say it like that.
Yes. Is there a motion?
I'll move to approve Resolution 2024-05-2802.
Thank you, ma'am.
Second.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
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 Yeah, Steve is not here, so I was going to ask him, could we do all of them together, but since he's not here, let's do them individually. So the next one is 03, Ms. Compton.
Similar type agreement. This is specifically for all of the payments that we receive from the state that we get electronically, which is your highway safety fund, your police incentive. They collect some of the franchise fees from, I believe it is from one of the utilities. I forget which one, and I apologize. But all of that is funneled through the Kentucky Finance Cabinet for the payment portion, and likewise, they require an updated approval.
Thank you, ma'am.
I'll move to accept resolution number 2024-05-2803.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, sir. Questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 We do all this paperwork and they send us $5. We gotta do it, right? Man.
That one's a little more than $5.
Oh, I'm just kidding. Next one is 04. Amex.
The last one of this evening, there might be a few more at the next meeting. Depending on the entity, they require different items to update your information. But this is an update to our Amex agreement, which is related to all of our electronic payments that we get for anybody that pays for their water bill with an Amex, American Express, anybody that pays, for instance, their parking bill, or if they just come into City Hall and they have a miscellaneous collection that, like a business license, something like that, if they pay with Amex, that is also electronically processed, and they require an update as well.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a motion?
I'll move to approve Resolution 2024-05-2804.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, ma'am. Questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you all. Okay. Mr. Carrier, you've been waiting for this, haven't you? All night long. All right.
Thank you, Mayor. This first agenda item is change order. There's a typo there in the title. That's my fault. I apologize. It's change order number 1 for Hubert Excavating and Contracting for the Pebble Road Phase 3 Waterline Project. It's in regards to change order 1 for the Waterline Project. Change order 1 is a $21,858 increase to the original contract amount. This change order includes installation of an 8-inch waterline gate valve, additional flowable fill material around the new waterline along the roadway, and a 8-inch insertion waterline valve. There's no additional days that will be added to the contract. Net project increase of $21,858 from capital for revised contract value of $2,321,858.
Thank you, sir. I was real tempted to ask you to repeat all of that, but it was a mouthful. Is there a motion?
I move that we approve Resolution 2024-052805.
Thank you, sir.
Second.
Thank you, sir. Any questions to Mr. Carrier? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Mr. Carrier?
Thank you, Mayor. This next agenda item is a railroad encroachment permit and fee from Norfolk Southern Railroad. As you all may be aware, anytime that we put utilities or any kind of infrastructure above or below the railways, we have to pay a permit fee, right? So there's a licensing fee and an encroachment permit process that we have to go through. It is a substantial amount of money, obviously. This permit's required to install a future sanitary sewer crossing for the Lebanon Road Phase 2 sewer project. This includes approximately 3,900 linear feet of Norfolk Southern property, including 2 sets of train tracks, 11 total train tracks. So it's a per foot fee is what it comes out to be. The total value is $137,564.20 from capital. If you all recall, also, this is a project that we received the $1.99 million EDA grant, and this is the same situation with Norfolk Southern that we successfully negotiated the pipe material across this total distance with them, and they agreed to let us put PVC in as opposed to ductile iron, which ends up saving the project in the long run roughly $400,000. So at the end of the day, we're having to pay the piper, so to speak, with this fee application and encroachment permit, but in the long run, it's a cost savings for the city.
Yeah, to spend a little time on that, that's 3,900 feet. So
Yeah.
you're talking about 3/4 of a mile versus normally where you would pass under a roadway, you're talking about 100 feet.
Yeah.
Right, so that's a derivative of the cost is specifically that distance. I just want to drive that point home.
Yeah, yeah. He included that in there for us, and I highlighted it, but yeah, you're right. Yeah. The 11 tracks is what got my attention.
Well, and I want to make sure the public at large for the camera and whatnot, I mean,
Sure,
like, we need to
yeah.
understand that distance is
Yeah.
big.
That's big, it's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there a motion?
I move that we approve Resolution 2024-052806.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, ma'am. Questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Carey, you have the next one as well.
Thank you, Mayor. This third and last agenda item from utilities is for the regards to a request to approve acceptance of a grant offer from Kentucky Infrastructure Authority regarding the future Kentucky Highway 2168 water main project. This project will provide valuable funding to aid the city in facilitating the installation of a water line and appurtenances along Kentucky 2160 on the north side of town from Lexington Road to Bergen Road, and possibly further to the west to Harrisburg Road. So this would be a project for a new water line installation, much needed along that corridor because there is no water along the corridor. This grant is for $959,000, $959,638 from KIA, with a local $615,362 local match. So we've already actually gone through the process of giving the okay with the commission's authority to pursue the grant. Now we've been approved for the grant, and now this is the point where we come to say we will pursue this grant. And it has the application information provided in the packet also, along with multiple exhibits.
Thank you, sir. Questions, comments? Motion to approve, motion to deny? You don't want to hear that. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2024-05-2807.
Thank you, ma'am.
A second.
Thank you, sir. Questions or comments?
Is
That's it. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Start. Go ahead, Rick.
Installation of this water line, what do you see in the future is best needed there on 2168?
Well, right now, it's like we mentioned, there is no water along the corridor. You're probably going to end up with a 6 to 8 inch water line through the corridor. Then you'll gain fire protection and you'll gain economic development capabilities along the same corridor too.
Time to go home.
I approve the money for utility, electricity.
We have a water
Somebody
company now,
forgot to pay the.
right?
Like you.
Somebody plugged something in back there.
Well, hopefully I answered your question, Mr. Sears.
I
So-
figured as much, and, I got to thinking too that part of this might be, as it is part of the city, fire hydrants and stuff like that as well, that we don't have out there right now.
And this will allow us to hydraulically close a loop on our system as well, which is always good to have redundancy in your system. So there's a gap in that edge of town right there that we could close it along Lexington Avenue. That would help tremendously for us.
Other questions or comments?
My question was generally the same as Mr. Sears, so we can move along.
Wow, okay.
You applied back in 2022, it looks like?
It was a project that was identified way back when the water plant, remember the water system master plan? That was considered a weakness in our distribution system. And the fact that all of our looping infrastructure was through Main Street towards the west and then around the bypass on the south side via a 16-inch line to Ghost Pike and then around to the water tower at Tower Hill. Remember, a few years ago, we connected through the Davis property, the 12-inch water main down to Lebanon Road. And so this begins the process of creating a loop on the northern side. That doesn't exist. So there's no development necessarily to be clear, there's no development initiative on the horizon. There's significant infrastructure deficiencies on the north side. But this is the first step in establishing some form of infrastructure on the north side, but also aside from the road, but also it's for the hydraulics of the system also.
That's the reason I was asking,
Yeah.
because I can think of some people who would be
Yeah, that's
wondering
what.
why we were doing it and who we were doing it for, so.
Yeah, I appreciate you giving us a minute to expand on that. But it's not a new idea. It was an idea way back around the 2010 era.
Thank you all. Any other comments? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. All I know is that some huge numbers, boy. Okay, next item. Oh, my Lord, Josh.
Yes, sir. Thank you all. I meant to jump in earlier and say, we do plan to do some storm debris cleanup. We're trying to take care of our areas this week, and with brass band coming up, we're pretty busy, but we're going to put out some information probably tomorrow or Thursday to the public about when we'll start picking up, probably be Monday, Tuesday next week. We can start cleaning up, and then the process for people to get on our list to come by their house and clean up off of the right of way. So we're working on that, but we'll have more information the next day or two if people ask. The first item, we used to be required to have a meeting about municipal road aid budget every year. Now we're just required to have it as a specific item on an agenda in a public meeting. So that's what this is for, just to discuss the budget. We previously discussed this at one of the budget meetings, but in your package you have the numbers this year for municipal aid. We anticipate getting about $330,000 in revenue, and we're going to have about $250,000 budgeted for roadway paving. We've upped our transfer to general fund to $40,000, so that money goes into the Public Works General Fund account that then pays for pothole patching, general road maintenance that we do, just daily operations, not necessarily street paving. And then we've budgeted $200,000 for capital road projects, so that could go towards the North Stewart's Lane extension. It could go towards Fox Harbor extension or Church Street extension, some projects that we've talked about pursuing in the last couple of years. So we've put some money in there to get those going. Mostly it's been designed so far on those projects, so we've yet to have the opportunity to begin construction. But that kind of shows the municipal road aid budget for an upcoming year. And I wanted I was thinking about that a lot when Earl and I were on our trip, the municipal road aid budget and the gas tax. We talked about gas tax a lot while we were in DC. I looked back at previous years, and I had Lee pull some numbers for me. Our gas tax contribution has actually gone down the past 10 years from 380 to 330. And the cost to pave roads has increased approximately 50%. So we're paving less roads with less money. I remember when I first started, we used to do 15 to 20 streets a year, and now we're probably more in the 8 to 10 range of streets that we're able to pave any given year. So like I've talked about before, we're going to be really strategic about it. We're not just going to pave streets to say we paved them. We're really going to identify the areas that have issues. We might not do full lengths of streets. We might do certain sections that look worse than others. So we're just going to be a lot more strategic about it. I plan to have a paving list to you all in July or August. I've been working on an assessment of all of the city streets and giving them all a grade, trying to build that database back up again. I'd like to complete that hopefully this month, hopefully in June. And then I'll be able to bring to you all in July a paving list that has the list of the worst streets in town that need to be paved. So that's kind of the plan of the schedule. And that way they can do once we approve that in July, it usually takes a month or two for them to get to the work. So I would expect the paving to happen in August, September. So folks should look for that, which is a good time of year for them to pave for us. So that kind of covers that item. If you all do have any questions.
With the addition of footnote, Josh, we have to mill now almost everything we do. And so that in and of itself costs more. So just bear that in mind as well. We usually don't pave more than one street a year that we don't mill now. Is that right?
Yes, I'd say it's definitely over 50%, over half of the streets that we pave, we end up having to at least edge mill to get the gutter, the pavement lined up with the gutter again. Which is, we've got a lot of streets that were built in the 80s and 90s that curb and gutter were put on that are now needing to be paved again. Even streets built in the 2000s are ready to be paved. So that's become a big part of what we do. And we're also going back and milling a lot of streets that in the past needed to be milled and just didn't get. They just piled pavement up the gutter line, and it caused drainage issues and things like that, issues at our ramps. So we're doing a lot more milling than was previously done. But the price of it hasn't gone up like paving has, so it's helped a little bit.
What do you do about, I think probably North Second or First or something, where the road is actually higher than the sidewalk in some places?
Well, we're going to work on some of those. We've been looking at a few where I definitely want to get the drainage, the inlets up. It's a huge drop off into some of those inlets where they've paved everything, but they've kept it out of the inlet. So you look, and now it's a foot down to the top of the inlet. So we're going to look at bringing all that infrastructure up. That will be easier for us to do than taking the road down. So we've identified a few of those inlets around town that are actually dangerous if somebody dropped a tire off into, that we're going to try to start raising. That's one of the, we were talking earlier about wayfinding, like we're kind of coming out of some big projects for me, like we're finishing up a lot of the bigger projects that we had, the big capital projects. So I think this year we're going to really try to hit some of that small stuff with our guys and try to make a lot of small improvements around town is kind of our focus for next year.
Okay, sir.
We can move to the next item unless
Yes,
y'all have any
sir.
questions. The next item is the Municipal Road Aid Co-op Agreement. This is an agreement we've done the past 3 years, I believe, where it's a co-op program with KYTC where they provide our municipal aid funding to us in 3 installments throughout the year, 60% in August, 30% in February, and the remainder at the end of the fiscal year. They hold 3% annually, and then that makes us eligible to use their emergency funds that they accumulate with that 3%. We haven't used that emergency repair funds yet, but if we ever need to, it'll be nice to have that available to us. But it's also really cleaned up our processes of getting the funding and how we identify it. So we would like to participate in that program again this year.
Thank you, sir. Is there a motion?
I'll move to accept resolution number 2024-05-2808.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, ma'am. Questions, comments to Josh? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? Thank you all. Josh, the next one?
Yes, the 2024 round of land and water conservation grants, the applications are due at the end of the month. We would like permission to get approval to apply for the same grant that we applied for last year and did not receive, which is to fund the Performance Pavilion at Millennium Park. This is a project we worked with tourism. Kendall and I worked on kind of a concept for it, and our architect put together some drawings. It is land and water grants are a 50-50 grant, so we are requesting $250,000, and then we would have to match that with $250,000 as well. And if we were awarded the grant, we would fund that in FY26.
Is there a motion?
I'll move to approve Resolution 2024-05-2809.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Second.
Questions or comments?
I think it's a great idea and very pro-art, so
Yeah.
thanks for doing that.
It's good, and apparently Tommy's all up about it as well, coming in with his influence. By the drawing, it removes a soccer field. I guess you guys have thought about that.
Yes, we're going to treat that as kind of a civic green so that it actually could be used as a small soccer field as well.
Okay.
The kind of the place where folks stand to watch any shows or put out chairs. So we're kind of trying to be able to have multi-use there.
It's amazing about the price, though, man.
Yes, it's another one that they told me $1 million, so I dropped it to $500,000 because $1 million just seemed like way too much. So, and we've got some good concepts, I think, that would be more affordable, that aren't, a huge project.
Well, it looks good. The information you shared with us looks good, but man, prices is scary. I'm sorry. Is there a motion? I'll have a motion. For number 9? Everybody got a motion? All right. No further questions or comments, then all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you all. Motion carries. Number 10, Josh, you're still up.
Yep, next item is the same scenario as the before. This is for the 2024 recreational trail grant round. The applications are due at the end of the month. We would like to apply for the same grant that we applied for last year, which was to extend the 2168 trail to Gentry Lane. We met with the Trails Alliance early in May and discussed this project, and they asked that we reapply for the same project again. So it is an 80-20 grant, so we are asking for the grant application will be for $250,000, and the city will need to match that with $50,000 for a $300,000 total project.
Sounds better.
I'll move to accept resolution 2024-05-2810.
Thank you, sir. Is there a
Second.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions, comments?
Yes, very good deal, as you can see. The grant pays for most of it. And did you want to expand a little bit on maybe the Streamline connector, or you want to leave that alone?
We could, so we're working hard as the Trails Alliance is. We're trying to connect 2168 trail into town. I think that's kind of an ultimate goal for us is for folks to be able to get from, the downtown area, even out some of there's the corridor roads out Lexington Avenue and Bergen Road to the 2168 Trail. So we've been exploring some options around Streamland, even connecting into Jackson Park somehow. We're looking at how we can get Lexington Avenue, the sidewalks connected out to that end. So there's a lot we're working on. We're trying to be, like I talked about earlier, with being strategic about paving. Same thing with trails. Money doesn't go very far anymore on some of these projects. So if we can be really, really strategic about the locations and do some of these short connections that tie people together to our existing infrastructure, I feel like we can make our money go a little further. So.
Thank you. I don't want to put you on the spot, but I did want to say that moving forward with the trails opens up opportunities to connect our neighborhoods. And so, in this case, this is one of them.
Thank you, sir. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. One more for Josh, right?
Yeah. So the city is with the KPDI, Kentucky Product Development Initiative grant that the EDA received for the Norfolk Southern property. The city is the grantee, the EDA is the beneficiary, and since we are the grantee, we have to apply for the disbursements of funds after they have been spent for the grant. So the EDA has asked us to send in an application for the disbursement of $19,496.32 from the Cabinet for Economic Development for the grant. So that's what this application is for. It's mostly legal fees associated with the purchase of the property. We're really close to being able to close on it. So they had accumulated a few items. I think part of it's what's the term for the money you put down on a land contract?
Your good faith money.
Yeah, good faith money. I think that's a portion of this. So that 19,000 and change is 50% of the money we've spent, the EDA has spent so far on the project. So they just need our signature on that so we can send that in to get the funds back.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2024-05-2811.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions or comments to Josh? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you, Josh.
Thank you all.
And thank you, Marcia, and thank you, Lee. You guys rolled. Thank you too, Randy. Man, y'all rolled through a bunch tonight. Yes, sir. Say the best for last. Mr. Young. He got looking around, look. I don't know why you have to be last, man.
I'd rather be first.
I know it.
This is April's code enforcement report. We towed 2 vehicles in the month of April. Issued 1 noise permit. Did a violation for 1 tree. We had 1 dog complaint for the month of April. And April really started the mowing season for us. So the cost of mowing for the month of April was $1,990. You add in the administrative fees and everything that we have to do on our end, causes us to bill out $4,034 for the mowing, which becomes a lien for each property that we had to mow. We recovered 2 liens in the amount of $578.70 for April. And we issued 24 notices of violation. And altogether, inspections, activities, and complaints, we had 35 for April.
Is that about average or?
Yeah. May will definitely pick up on the next report. It'll be probably almost double that.
Grass mainly? Or? That dog complaint wasn't on Hudson Avenue, was it?
No, I think that one was on Harding, actually.
Close.
Okay.
Other questions or comments?
I was wondering, a report more on the properties and the, condemned properties, I guess, or foreclosed, the ones that we could foreclose on with all the liens, and how much money in liens that we have outstanding still. I don't know if that's something that we can see in the future, that we used to see it a quarter, I guess, and it would tell us how many houses, where the condemned properties were, how much in liens that we were owed as a city. And I mean, I don't know about the foreclosure process at all, but it looks like there's properties, in town that are just sitting, And I would like to, hear more if we could about those.
Let us, we were working on how to deal with those properties in terms of presentation and whatnot. But let us go through that list. It would be worthwhile to have an agenda item dedicated to that. I know there's a lot of question. I know that we have had a significant turnover of real estate with a particular high-volume rental market owner. And so there's a lot of that we deal with on a daily or on a regular basis. And so let us come up with an agenda item presentation for you pretty soon. Might not be the very next meeting, probably the end of June. And then try to develop a different presentation of that. Just a long list tends to be lost in item number 17
Well, I just know
out
there
of
was
50
a lot of
on that
money.
list.
We saw that last year.
And I was just going to say, separate from the foreclosure part, we can include, because to help Ian, Tiffany in finance, she helps track the actual lien as they come in and get released. So we can include that as well next time.
Okay, I mean, then
Yeah.
that may be,
I have one of those ready
Okay.
for the next time.
I mean, that would be helpful, just because there were such high numbers the last time we saw that, and that's probably been a year, maybe?
It's still that high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
money,
And there's always that issue about when does the city condemn
right?
some of these properties and take ownership and
I mean, because we can just keep mowing there month after month after month, and there's nothing that's, a property may be, the mowing value may be more than it's worth,
Totally
at some
true.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally true. That's a nightmare, and we'll try to give a better summary of where we're at with, or what the status is with properties at that June meeting. And, that's a tough subject. There's a lot to that. There's a lot of anecdotal things that honestly have been tossed around that just aren't necessarily true. They're all handled different ways. The housing authorities do different things. They have certain jurisdictions. A lot of the city just can't force a foreclosure from the status of condemnation. Really, the city's position is just to force a tear down. That's not always a solution. So it's a heavier subject than you would think. And we agree, though, that it is definitely the beauty of the community that is impacted negatively whenever there's a high number of those. And so we'll definitely make it an agenda item, make it worth this commission's time.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That concludes our agenda for this special called meeting. Is there a need for an executive session?
No, sir.
Whoa. So I get to make my motion tonight, right?
You sure do.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll move to adjourn.
I will second that.
They've been slow on them tonight, haven't they? All those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Hi.
Aye.
All right.
Those opposed, motion carries. Thank you all.